Hey, what's up guys? Rob the Jeweler here. So today we're going to be working on two rings that are being sized. One's going from a 10 to an 8.5, and another one, this is kind of like a ring guard. This is a double band. You can see it's actually two rings, basically two rings in one, two shanks. This one is going from a 7 to an 8.5. This one's going from a 10 to an 8.5. And let's see if I can get that in there. You see it's a 10. Not really sure if you can see that. Alright, see there's 8 done. 8, 9, 10. And then the ring guards, or the ring guard with the two shanks, is a 7. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and size, or better yet, what we're going to do, because this is a ring guard, this one's not going up super far, so we shouldn't have to cut this one. Now if this one was going up like a size and a half, two sizes, we may have to cut it and add some gold to it. But just the way this ring is made, we can probably just get it up to a 8.5. Now this one here we'll definitely have to cut to size down to 8.5. Here's what the other ring looks like. You can see it's a nice marquee stone. It's a pretty ring, pretty set. And here's the other one again. You see it's pretty. Alright, let's see. Let's tackle this band first. What we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to size the ring guard. We're gonna have to size this, get them both to 8.5. But then what we're gonna have to do is we need to interlock them, put them together on the mandrel, and then get them both to 8.5. Because when you put them together in the ring guard and everything, they're not always going to match up. So let's tackle one at a time. We're going to start with the ring guard ring guard first. So now what we're going to use a rubber mallet. We're not going to use our regular hammer. Bad idea. Rubber mallet. This doesn't do hardly anything to it, really. What we're doing is we're just rounding it out a little bit. We don't have really far to go with this. These guards can be a little tricky, especially if you've never done one before. They are a little bit harder to do. What we're doing is we're just tapping. Just tapping a little bit at a time here. Now again, if we were going several sizes up, we would have to cut and add gold to this, but since we're not, luckily we don't have to. Alrighty. So interesting thing is this ring has been sized before. So it went ahead and split on one of the shanks here. You see that it split. Let's see if I can get it focused in. Split right there. So we're gonna have to weld it anyways. That is always a possibility. It's definitely been sized before, otherwise it wouldn't have split like that. It's a clean split too. I mean, it's not a jagged, it's a very clean split, so it's been welded there before. And being that it popped like that, it probably was soldered with easy solder, not hard solder, because it shouldn't pop that easily. But that is not a big deal. We're going to switch to a 5 tip here. We use 5 tip on rings and a 3 or 4 tip on smaller stuff like necklaces, bracelets, stuff like that. Let's go ahead and set this baby on fire. Well, we're done. We dipped it in denatured alcohol and boric acid. That puts a fire coating over it so it doesn't leave too much fire scale. And then we'll put some flux on here. And we will cut us a piece of solder off here. And we don't need a very big piece. And let's get our flame going. And grab our solder. Alright. Now we heat this up a little bit. Let some of the flux burn off. And being that this has been sized before, I hope that this piece, if it was going up, doesn't blow out, because sometimes that happens. Alright, I think we got that soldered. Yeah, looks like we're soldered. Okay. So we'll cool this off in some water. We can do that because these are diamonds. If these were CZs, you would not want to do that, because as soon as you heat the CZs and go to stick it in water, you're going to shatter all of them. So that would be a bad idea. Definitely not something you'd want to do. Nah, we need to pull that solder through a little more. Yeah, we need to pull it through just a little bit more. Now, the only thing we have to hope for is that the other side doesn't pop on us too, because if the one side's been sized, and we know this one, the other one has been sized as well at some point. So now, let's pull this solder through a little more. Needs to come through just a little bit more. There we go. Cool it off. There we go, we're back together. Now let's continue, get this thing to an 8.5 here. We're going to just keep tapping here. Alright, let's keep working on this. We're getting there, slowly but surely. We are getting there. Alright, now we're going to switch to our regular hammer for just a little bit. We're not tapping hard, we're just tapping lightly with this. If you go smashing with this, all you're going to do is just flatten it. You don't want to do that, you're just tapping. We're just tapping ever so gently. We are getting there. We're almost there. Almost where we need to be. Alright, we are getting there. So with these ring guards, they're a little, take a little bit longer to do. They're a little bit slower, but it's better to take your time than be in a rush. Because when you get in a hurry, that's when crazy stuff happens. For sure. Okay, we're at 8.5 now. For the most part. Let's see. Now the bad thing about these ring guards, especially when you're sizing them, is that, you know, the top part where the other ring's supposed to go in is going to close up on you occasionally. But what you do is you just pull it back apart. Being careful, of course. You don't want to just take it and yank it out, you know. But this is stuff you just learn with experience, you know. I mean, when I started out 25 years ago, you're gonna make mistakes, you know. You can watch these videos, but it's this is one of them things where, you know, you get better with practice, and you're gonna mess up along the way. It's just part of the thing. And when you're starting out, it's hard, you know, because a lot of people, it's hard to get people's trust with jewelry, you know, especially if they don't know you. And well, you know, it took me a long time to actually get a name and a reputation, you know. So if you're starting out and it's like, you know, not getting a lot of business, or a lot of people don't want to leave their jewelry with you, it takes time. You know, this isn't something you can just walk into and start doing. It takes a lot of time. So if you're going through that, I've been there, trust me. Trust me, I have. definitely been there. Alright, I think we're pretty much where we need to be on this one for the most part. So now what we need to do, so let's go ahead and size this other one. This other one, remember, is going from a 10 to 8.5. 10 to 8.5, so we're going down 1.5 sizes. So we're going to put that on our mandrel. We're going to grab our marker. We're going down a size and a half. So let's look for the size and a half. We got it. So then what we're going to do is we're going to mark our ring with that. Okay, now we got our two little marks on the ring there. So what we're going to do, grab our cutters and we're going to cut at them marks. So we're going to cut 1 and 2. Okay. Now, let's see here. Now we got to cut. What we need to do is we need to file down these two sides here, these two edges, make them even. Fine, there we go. Alright, we got our two ends even. Now we're going to use our crimpers, which are kind of like this, and we're going to get the ends of the ring together. Like so. See, now we got our ring back together. You can see right here is where we need to weld. We need to weld it back together. And please use hard solder. Don't do like whoever sized this other ring and use easy soldered. I mean, it's good for beginners, but when you can, you want to go to hard solder, just because hard solder is much more durable than easy or medium. I use hard solder on everything, even to do prongs. I know a lot of people are like, oh, you use hard solder to do prongs? That's crazy. Well, I mean, you can do it eventually. I mean, when you're starting out, I can understand. You gotta use easy solder. I've been there, I've done that. Alright, we put some denatured alcohol, we're gonna put some flux. I'm gonna burn this sucker off. Set it on fire. Now, one thing I will tell you is if you ever have a customer that says they want to watch you do their jewelry. I advise against that, not because it makes you nervous, but because the people, when they realize that you're putting fire to their jewelry, they freak out. They freak out big time. And some of them will go crazy on you. I had one do that to me. Like, oh no, you go mess up my jewelry. It's like, because a lot of people, you know, they're like, oh, I'm just going to get my ring size, or I'm going to get my jewelry fixed, and they don't really realize what all's involved in it. And when they realize you're putting fire to their jewelry, some of them don't act too well to that. All right, I'm gonna grab our solder on our pick here, and we're gonna heat it up just a little bit. There we go. Our solder is through. Turn our torch off. We'll make sure it's wet all the way through. What we need to do is pull it through the bottom a little more. And I need to pull it through the bottom just a little bit more. I always want to check, because sometimes even though you see the solder flow, sometimes it doesn't always flow through completely. So you always want to be sure that it goes through all the way. And in this case, it almost did, but not quite. There we go. All right. And we got another diamond, so we'll pull it off in the water. Now again, remember, if it's CZ, just wait for it to cool off. Don't put it in the water, just shatter it. Or if it's a gemstone like emerald or ruby, aquamarine, any kind of stone like that, you wait for it to cool off. Because you put it in water, you will shatter it. Okay, now we're going to use our rubber mallet, kind of round this back out. Boy, we were almost on the money. We're like at 8 1/4 right now. Almost there. Tap it with a regular hammer just a little bit. Now I do hope, okay, we're 8 1/2. So you can see we got our ring. You see it's a little smaller now, not quite as big as it was in the beginning. And what we got to do, if I can find my Well, where is, oh, okay, there it is. Let me put that up before it goes missing. Definitely don't need that. Alright. So now let's just set this in here and kind of get an idea of how this is going to sit or not sit. Interesting. Interesting. Alright, let's open the bottom a little bit on this. It's the only bad thing about these ring guards is you have to, especially if they're not sold as a set, they don't always fit properly, so you got to kind of do some, you know, open the bottom, open the top, make some adjustments so it even sits in there correctly, because I'm pretty sure this was not sold as a set or was made as a set, you know. You can tell just by the way it sits in there. You can see right now the inside ring is sticking up. It's not going all the way down. See if I can get that in focus in there. You see it's sticking up right now, and that ain't gonna work. So we need to try to see if we can open this bottom a little bit. First we gotta try to get this ring back out of here. It's in there good. And all I'm using is a little pick. We're using like a little pick that you just stick in, push in between. You can kind of open the bottom, open the top if you need to. But I think the problem we're gonna have is this ring. This shank on this ring is actually wider than the other one. So I'm not really sure how we're going to tackle that just yet. I'm trying to see if this is going to work. That sucker's still sticking up. What it is that shank is much wider than the a lot wider than the let me see if I can. No, that's not going to work. I think what we're going to try to do is leave them together and put it on here and kind of tap it, see if we can get them to shape together. There we go. Hell yeah. Even though they're not a set, we're going to make it work anyways. Alright, we're getting there now. Heck yeah. Hell yeah. Now what we gotta do is we gotta get them to say 8.5 together. All together. Because you put them on, you put the one ring on, it'll say 8.5. You put the guard on, it will say 8.5. But if you stick them together and you put it on there, it's not going to say 8.5 because it takes up more mass because now it's wider. So you need to make sure it says 8.5 with them together as well. Not quite yet. We're getting there, we're getting there. And we're almost there. So now you can see that ring's not sticking up anymore like it was. It's hard for me to see here. There we go. See if I can, yeah. See if I can get that focused in there. You can see it's not sticking up nearly as much as it was. But we still are not at our desired size with them all together. Just gotta take your time with it. On these kind, you don't want to be in a hurry, otherwise it will come back to bite you in the ass. Not that you wouldn't be able to fix it, it just means it would take longer for you to get it done. And we're still not quite where we want to be. So let's take a little hammer here. Alright, now what we're going to do is we need to get this other ring out real quick. I need to take a look at something here. Get her out. Alright, she's 8.5. Alright, so this one that's being a little bit of a bitch. Alright, now let's take a look and see. See where we're at with both of these here. Okay. Now it's super tricky because you have to be careful, because this, we size it to 8.5. Now that we've beat it a little bit with this, it's made it just a smudge hair loose on the 8.5, but that doesn't matter. What matters is you need to make sure it's an 8.5 with them all together, because this is going to take up more mass on the finger because it's wider. It's not like a regular ring. You see how wide that is. So you need to make sure it's 8.5 together. Don't, you know, you want to get it as close to 8.5 as possible when you're sizing them individually, but you need to make sure that they're 8.5 when they're all together, because that's how they're planning on wearing it, is all together. Alright, I think that is going to be our 8.5 there. I don't want to mess with it too much more. Let me see what this is individually here again. It's about an 8.5. 8.5, yeah. Is 8.5. 8.5. Alright, we're 8.5. I need to see if I can try to loosen this up a little bit, because when it goes in there, it locks in nice and tight, and it's hard to get this center ring out of here without pushing it with a pick. It's the only bad thing about when these rings are not made all together, is trying to get them to fit properly. Basically what I'm doing right now is just trying to see where it's getting hung up at. That's what I'm trying to do here. Yeah, that's going to be a tight fit. Man, oh man, oh man. It is a tight fit. Let's see, let's open this up a little more. On this end right there, and on that end right there. And you'll probably end up spending more time trying to make this thing fit than you will actually working on it. Yeah, that's still still tight. Alright. Where is it getting hung up at? It's getting hung up in the bottom here somewhere. Oh, okay. Let's see. I see. Let's see. Let's file these sides down a little bit on this Solitaire. We're just going to smooth it out a little bit on the sides here. Alright, let's just see how it fits in here now. Still tight. It's the sides that are on this Solitaire that's causing it to hang up. So let's follow it down a little more. This thing is just being stubborn. Like I said, you're probably going to spend more time trying to make it fit than actually working on the ring. All right, I think we're making progress now. Okay. I think we're where we need to be. So let's go ahead and smooth the inside and the outside of these rings. Alright, let's switch and do the sides and the outside now. Alright, I think we're where we need to be. Let's see how this sits in here now. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's locking in there better. A lot better. Still having to fight it a little bit though, for some reason. Still having to fight it just a little bit. Where are you hanging up at? I see now. Okay. I got it. Like I said, spend more time trying to make it fit than working on it. That's okay. We'll get it. We will get it. Okay, it's both sides. Alright, makes sense. Both sides. We're still just doing some fine adjusting here. You just got to work the bottom, make it fit the shank. Tight fit, tight fit. Okay. Alrighty. Let's try something a little different here. Sometimes things just don't go the way you plan them. That's okay, you work around it. I am looking for a special tool here in my menagerie of a desk. It's kind of like organized chaos. I kind of know where everything's at. If that makes sense. set the ring up here real quick. Adjust this down just a little bit. Where are you at? What are you? Where are you at? Where are you at? Where are you at? It's probably buried at the bottom because I haven't had to use it in quite a while. It's kind of been a minute since I've had to use this tool. There you are. Alright. So basically this is kind of like a similar version to the white one we used to put the ring together on this one. But it's a much smaller version. You can see it's made to crimp. What I'm going to try to do is open these little bars that connect the two rings. They're getting in the way a little bit. So I'm going to try to move them up so that the ring can move a little more freely. At least that's the hope. Let's just see what that did. Yeah, it helped a little bit. Need to do a little more to it though. Let's see what that did, if anything. Okay, let's see. Alrighty, folks. We're getting there, man. It's just a slow, tedious process. Yeah, it's just this shank on this Solitaire is just too freaking wide for this guard. It's okay, we're gonna tackle this somehow here. How do we want to tackle this? Alright, let's smooth out some of the edges on this guard on the bottom. taking a little longer than I hoped, but you know, that's why I just keep filming, because sometimes things just don't quite go the way you think they should go. Kind of like this band being a little too wide for this ring. For this guard, I mean, which is basically like 2 rings. This is probably the boring part. But hopefully soon enough we'll get to smoothing the guard out and be about done with this thing. Hopefully. Aha. I think we finally got that son of a bitch. I think we might have it finally. Maybe. Let's see. Yep, I think that's about as close as we're gonna get. Especially with the band being too wide for the ring. Locks right in though. Let's check the size one more time. Eight and a half. 8.5. Alright, I think we finally got that sucker in there. Now we're going to smooth out the inside and the sides of these rings. And then we're going to go polish this sucker up, see what it looks like. Okay. Let's do the inside first on the thing here on the guard. Basically all we're doing is just smoothing the inside out. Let's take a look. Handle here, and have. You clean the inside up just a little bit more. Uh-oh. I think it's starting to rain. Good thing we're under cover. Hopefully it don't start lightning and thunder. Oh, there you go. Go figure that one. If it gets too bad, we can always pause and come back. Because I am under shelter, but I don't feel like getting struck by lightning today. And we're done the inside, now we're going to do the outside and the sides now. Alright guys, I'm sorry, but I'm probably going to have to pause for a second because this weather's getting a little bit bad. I'm going to check this one more time here. Okay, I think we're about where we're going to be. Alright, so we got these rings together. It's a little tight, it locks in. That's just going to be the best it gets because the shank's just so wide for the ring guard. You can see we got them all together. Fits nice in there. It's a nice set, it really is. You see we don't have the ring sticking up anymore, it's all uniform. So I'm going to pause it here because all we have left now to do is just polish and clean it. I may go ahead and do that real quick, or may have to come back after the storm. But we're going to pause it and we'll come back and see what the finished product looks like. Alright guys, we're back with that ring and ring guard that we were sizing. Here you can see we got it sized, got it polished. Fits evenly in there. We got a size to 8.5. It's a beautiful piece, it really is. But if you'd like and subscribe, if you'd like to help donate to the channel or help a working man out, the links will be in the description. And this is Rob the Jeweler. I'll see you on the next one.